how's Mom doing? You visited today, yeah? Is she okay?
She seemed to be doing okay. I think she's just gonna need a little bit more time. She was looking a bit more cheerful today at least, so that's good. But I think she might be acting strong, so we don't worry about her too much.
You thought so too? When I called her today, she seemed okay, but I got the feeling that she was just putting on a brave face.
I guess we can't expect much. It's only been a week since Dad's funeral. We have to give her some time and space to grieve. Let's not push her too hard. All we can do is support her right now.
I guess you're right, yeah. I still can't believe it, you know? He was perfectly healthy just a couple months ago. To think he went downhill so quickly? I mean, he was laughing and running around like he was still in his 40s just last Christmas. Before we even knew it, he was in the hospital.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It still feels unreal somehow. Like he's supposed to come home from the hospital any day now.
Same here, honestly.
Like, my brain understands that he's no longer here with us, but I still instinctively take out my phone to text him and stuff. What about you?
Yeah, I get the same feeling as you sometimes. I'm worried about Mom, though. She's known him so much longer than we have. We have our partners and kids, but she's completely alone now.
I'm also worried. Like, if I could visit every day, I really would. But with all my work and the kids, it's really not feasible. No, we really should make more time, especially now. She needs our support now more than ever. She's been helping us out our entire lives. The least we can do is stand by her when she needs it. I'll ask my husband to look after the kids for a bit after work so I can go see her more.
I feel you. But don't you think you're putting too much pressure on yourself to help her out? Your heart is in the right place, but won't this backfire with you trying to balance too many things like this? All I'm trying to say is that you shouldn't push yourself too hard for her sake.
I guess. But this is still Mom we're talking about. It's not much easier for you to visit, is it now? Since you live like 2 hours away from her. If I don't visit her, then who will?
Yeah, you're not entirely wrong, but I've been thinking actually, I have a compromise that'll help everybody involved.
You do? What kind of compromise?
Well, what if I just moved in with Mom instead? Then you don't have to sacrifice spending time with your family so much, and I don't have to travel to see her. Not bad, huh?
You're going to live with her? What about your husband? What's going to happen to him? He can't move in with you. He'd have to commute like 2 hours every morning. You're not going to live apart, are you?
Don't be silly. He'll just quit his job and come live with me and Mom. I'm sure he'll find a new job in no time. Can't be that hard.
Are you sure? Didn't he struggle a lot to get his current job? He's barely been working there for a year. Now you want him to quit and move in with Mom? That's asking a lot. You know that.
Trevor's actually told me he's tired of the place he works at right now. He was already thinking of getting another job. That's why I'm saying it's convenient for everyone.
Are you sure? Have you talked to him about this? Does he agree with moving in with Mom?
Oh, yeah, he was all for it. I mean, you know how much I suck at cooking. At least I'll finally be able to eat some proper food now, is what he told me.
Sam, don't go forcing Mom to make you guys food. You should still be helping Mom out around the house instead. Living together isn't going to be all sunshine and rainbows, you know? You might end up messing up her rhythm if you two move in there. Be a bit more considerate of how she might feel about the whole thing.
Oh, stop worrying so much. It'll be fine. Me and Trevor don't mind living with someone else.
Yeah, but Mom certainly would mind. Have you thought about that? You know, she's the kind of person that goes out of her way to accommodate people. She's not good at saying no to pushy people.
But I'm not pushy. Plus, I'm her own daughter. Surely she won't mind.
Maybe, but Trevor isn't. He's only seen her like 2 or 3 times after you guys got married, and one of those times was at the funeral. I don't think she'll feel comfortable living with him. If I was in Mom's shoes right now, I'd feel a bit uncomfortable about this.
Well, it depends on whether or not she's okay with it, right? She's free to say no, of course.
I suppose.
In fact, today when I called her, she seemed fairly enthusiastic about my idea.
Wait, so you already discussed things with her, and she's fine with it?
Well, we didn't exactly discuss all of the details. I mainly just grazed over the whole proposal, but yeah, she seemed keen on it. Like, she said she can't stay sad about losing Dad forever, and that she thinks she might need a change in her life. So I took it that she was fine with my idea.
She might have thought you were joking, honestly. Are you really sure she said she was fine with it?
She's clearly depressed being alone at home. I'm sure she'll love having her daughter and son-in-law around. Don't worry about it.
I guess. I'm not really in the position to say anything at the end of the day. This is between you and Mom.
That's right. I'll be sure to talk things through with her before we decide to move in. You sure you didn't think about moving in as well?
No, I suppose I hadn't really thought about it. It would be really hard on my husband and the kids after all. I suppose we could try to find a house in the neighborhood so we could live closer, but the housing market is looking pretty rough right now. I don't think we could afford it.
Why bother when she's living alone in a pretty big house? I'm sure you and your family could all fit in there. I guess it's gonna take a bit to get used to, but we'll manage. You'll see, Mom's gonna love it. I honestly think you're more concerned for other people than Mom is.
Well, if anything, you don't seem to care enough about how people might feel, but that's just my opinion.
I like to think I'm just taking initiative and helping Mom feel less lonely.
You're really concerned about her, huh? Compared to when you were younger, you really matured a lot.
Of course I have. I'm already in my 30s after all.
I mean, you and Mom were still fighting like cats not too long ago.
Not too long ago? That was years ago, sis. I'm not the same person from back then. I know I was kind of immature back then.
Yeah, I guess you grew out of your rebel phase once you married Trevor and settled down.
Something like that. Anyways, you can leave this to me. I'll make sure Mom isn't lonely, I promise.
Hey Sammy, how's Mom doing? You guys finally moved in, right? How's the co-living going?
You bet. We're all getting along nicely. No complaints so far. Mom seems happier than ever. She's been making us delicious meals every day.
Sam, what did I tell you about forcing her to make you guys food? You should at least offer to help her out with the cooking and cleaning and stuff. Come on.
I know, but don't you think it's better for her mental health if we keep her busy? Instead of her leaving her to her own thoughts. They say the best thing for someone who's grieving is to keep them busy.
Maybe, but making her do all the housework shouldn't be the way to go about it.
I almost forgot. I wanted to ask you about Dad's will. Have you figured out what everyone is inheriting?
Don't you think it's still a bit early?
It's been more than a month. We should really discuss this with the rest of the family already.
Yeah, I guess. But Dad also has siblings that I'm sure he left things to. I feel like it would be rude to get involved too early. I don't want us to look like money-grubbing children when our dad just passed away.
What? Like Aunt Linda, for example?
I wasn't specifically talking about her, no. I'm just saying there are other people that probably should be allowed to look over the will and figure out what they were left.
Yeah, but I really hate that crazy old crow. Something about her makes my skin crawl. I don't know. She's really nasty and she's always cranky. I never got along with her. Didn't she used to yell at you so much when you were little that you cried?
Yeah, okay. She's not exactly my fondest aunt. I mean, I finished all my homework and I wanted to go outside and play with my friends, but she would yell at me saying I'd end up an idiot if I didn't focus on my schoolwork. I can't exactly handle her either.
And yet, she's one of the people going after his inheritance. Who does she think she is? Honestly, she can go walk in front of a bus for all I care, don't you think?
Walk in front of a bus? That's a bit harsh, Sam. I'll admit she was pretty strict with us and she had a few issues later in life, but I wouldn't go as far as to say that.
Whatever, she was the worst. She doesn't deserve any of Dad's inheritance.
Well, I heard she helped Dad out a lot when he was struggling. I think she had a soft spot for him. Plus, if he left her anything in the will, she has every right to it. She's still family at the end of the day.
Either way, I don't want anything to do with her.
I'm just saying we don't know what history Dad and Aunt Linda had.
But what about Mom? Is she gonna be okay? Linda can be pretty pushy sometimes. She might force Mom to give up things just because she doesn't want to deal with any conflict. If you're not gonna do anything about it, I'll just have to step in it and protect our family's fair share.
I mean, I'd prefer if we didn't end up causing any unnecessary conflict in the family. Just keep things civil, please. I don't want to get wrapped up in any family drama. If you guys have any disagreements, solve it civilly and by the law, you know?
You're sounding more and more like Mom. Yeah, I get it. You don't have to lecture me.
Sorry, I gotta get back to work soon. I'll talk to you again later. Take care of Mom for me, will you? Help her out around the house a bit, please? Oh, and if there's anything you want to talk about with the co-living and stuff, just let me know.
Sure, I will. Now get back to work. Bye.
Sam, what the hell did you do?
So I was right. Mom did end up going over there to you. I figured you'd be the first person she'd turn to. Well, I suppose you're the only person she can go to.
What do you mean you figured she'd come here? Sam, explain yourself. Is what Mom told me true? Did you seriously tell her that she's a nuisance and an old prune? She's telling me you kicked her out of her own home.
Well, maybe I went a bit far, but she was really starting to become a nuisance, okay? I didn't want to kick her out, but she just wouldn't stop complaining. We can't live under the same roof if everyone's going to be fighting the whole time.
What? Sam, are you even hearing yourself right now?
She wouldn't stop trying to interfere with our lives. What else was I supposed to do?
Not kicking her out of her own home would have been a start.
She's the one that started arguing with us. We came to live there for her sake, and then she goes and complains about it the whole time.
She told me that Trevor still hasn't gotten a new job yet since you two moved there. I know it's hard to find a job so soon, but apparently he hasn't even been trying to look for work.
That's none of our business. Besides, he was working so hard at his previous job, he deserves a short break at least.
That might be true, but you guys shouldn't be taking a break if you don't have any money to support yourselves in the meantime. Mom says you even refused to pay for your living expenses. How is she supposed to support you two when she's retired? Of course she's going to complain about that.
We uprooted our entire lives to go live with her and to keep her company. Why should we have to pay to stay here as well? What kind of person would willingly co-live with some cranky old woman, honestly? She ought to be paying us for living here as thanks.
But, Sam, it was your idea to go live there in the first place. Mom never asked you to stay there with her. If anything, you forced your way in there despite Mom not being on board at first.
If she didn't want us to live here, then she should have said no. Simple as that. But she didn't, so I don't see any problem. You two can't go blaming us for this now. She agreed to us staying here.
Sam, this is some Olympic-level mental gymnastics you're pulling here. How do you think any of this makes sense?
Wait, hold on. I've got a great idea. How about this? You can have Mom, and me and Trevor got the house. That way she doesn't have to deal with us, and I'll finally get my fair share of the inheritance.
What? You can't just trade Mom for the house.
Well, neither of us got much after everything in Dad's will was sorted out. I mean, we're his daughters after all. We should have gotten the house at least. In a sense, Dad not only left the house, but also Mom, right? So, it only makes sense that we split those two things between us. And since Mom clearly doesn't get along with me and Trevor, I think I'll just hand her over to you. I'm just being considerate.
Wow, you're so considerate. You know what, Sam?
What?
Take the house. I'd be honored if Mom decided to stay here.
Honored, huh? Sure, whatever you say. Funny, I could have sworn you said you didn't want to go live with Mom at first.
I'd be much happier having Mom around than I would be inheriting a house. Take it. I have no use for the place. To be frank, I can't even imagine comparing her to the house.
Well, she was giving us hell, so if that's your kind of thing, then I'd happily take the house off you. It's pretty spacious. I bet I could get quite a lot for it if I sold it right now. Like you said, the housing market is brutal if you're looking to buy right now. But at the same time, that means I can sell it for a fortune.
Whatever. I don't want any part of this.
That settles it then. Tell Mom I want her to transfer ownership to me as soon as possible. I guess we'll see what happens to the place once we get it evaluated and everything.
What do you mean?
Well, if we can sell it for a lot, we'll obviously put it up for sale right then and there. Once we have the money for it, me and Trevor can take some time off and finally go traveling together. We might even retire early at that point and get one of those luxurious motorhomes and travel all over the country. Ew! Or we might get one of those golden visas and move overseas, to one of those countries with a weak currency. Then we'll practically be millionaires compared to the other people.
Whatever you end up doing with the place, it's none of my concern. I don't want anything to do with this scheme of yours, okay? Don't come crying to me if this ends up blowing up in your face.
Like I care. It's not like you're getting any of the money either way. Once I sell this place, I'm not giving you a cent, even if you beg me. So don't go whining afterwards saying that you wanted the house instead. Emma! Why didn't you tell me Aunt Linda was gonna move into Mom's house?
Oh, wow, that's pretty rough. My condolences.
Don't sass me. I'm being serious right now. Did you put her onto this? She's saying the house belongs to her. What is she on about? She's lying, right?
Oh, is she now? Good for her, honestly.
Emma, this isn't good. Not even a little bit. You know how much I hate her.
Not my problem. Why should I care?
She can't just waltz in here and demand that I give her everything. Just do something. Tell her to leave or something.
Well, she does technically own half of the house, in a way. So I guess she can waltz all she wants over there.
What? What do you mean? How can she own the place?
I guess you don't know about this, but Aunt Linda actually owns the land that Mom and Dad's house is built on. Even though Dad built the house, she owns the land.
Nobody ever told me this.
Yeah, she was pretty loaded back in the day. After Mom and Dad got married, she leased him the land so he could build their house there. You know how Dad didn't end up leaving much behind?
Yeah? What about it?
If I had to guess, it's probably because he left quite a bit to his sister for leasing the land to him and such. Even Mom didn't really get much after he passed. I assume he left her something else to compensate for the house. In all likelihood, you're sitting on Aunt Linda's inheritance.
But she doesn't own the house. Dad built it, right?
Well, yeah, but he didn't have much money at the time. If I remember correctly, she also lent Dad money to build the house, so she pretty much owns the whole place. Aunt Linda showed up at our house a few days ago with the debt collection letter and the agreement she and Dad signed. She demanded that we hand over the house.
But she didn't say anything when we were all discussing everything about Dad's will. Why didn't she bring it up then?
I'm not sure. She must have still been pretty torn up about Dad passing away. Like I said before, she had a pretty soft spot for him. They were always looking out for each other. Thank goodness she's feeling more like her awful old self again. Isn't that great? She was about to kick her widower sister-in-law out of the home her late husband built for them.
See? This is what I'm talking about when I say she's a nasty old selfish hag.
Instead, you beat her to it. Imagine Mom's own daughter kicking her to the curb. Who would have thought? Her own flesh and blood.
That wasn't what I was doing. I was trying to help her, that's all. She was the one arguing with us and complaining the whole time. I just suggested that she go live somewhere else. It's not my fault she agreed to moving out.
Uh-huh.
Whatever. Just tell me what I should do. Didn't you tell Mom to transfer ownership to me?
You didn't get ownership of anything except Mom and Dad's debt to Aunt Linda, technically. You could always pay back that debt to her in cash. I'm sure she'll take the money and leave you guys alone then.
Do you think I have that much money just lying around?
Yeah, I guess you don't. Oh well. Guess you'll have to give her the house.
Emma, please, do something. She started demanding I pay rent and ordering me around like I'm some kind of housemaid. I don't know what to do. The house was supposed to be mine. Please help me.
See, Sammy, I distinctly remember telling you not to ask me for help if this scheme of yours blows up in your face. And that I don't want anything to do with the house. Why are you begging me for help now?
I know. I can't deal with her right now. Can't you just ask her to leave us alone until we can figure this out? You grew up in this house too, you know. You can't tell me you want Aunt Linda to just come in here and take it from us.
I haven't lived in that house for decades. I couldn't care less. and it rightfully belongs to Linda. I have no say in what she does. The only place I care about is where my real family, like Mom, is. And that would be where I am right now. So, I hope you and Aunt Linda get along.
Get along? Nobody can get along with this woman. How can you even say that? She bullied Mom when she was younger. She's a total nutcase. I'm gonna need a therapist if I have to stay here for one more minute.
Oh, don't be dramatic. I'm sure you two will get along just fine. You know, since you're both terrible people that want to throw their family out on the street.
She's a miserable old hag. Don't compare me to her. She just forces herself into everyone's business. She barely listens when you try to talk to her.
Sounds pretty familiar. Very much like someone I know. A sibling of mine who never works and is always standing there waiting for people to do things for her. She just wants to mess around all day without a care for other people around her. And then, when her money runs out, she tries to steal from her parents. She suddenly announces when she gets married without anyone knowing about her partner, then demands more money from her parents.
Listen here, I was struggling financially back then. It's the parents' job to support their child, isn't it?
What excuse do you have for trying to kick Mom out of her house? Just so you can sell it and travel abroad? You and Aunt Linda are the exact same kind of people in my mind. You can't do anything to change that.
We're not the same. How can you even think that?
I suppose maybe you're not exactly the same. She might have a problem with her attitude and personality, but she doesn't owe people money. She didn't treat her brother badly either, and she didn't try and kick her own mother out of her house. If anything, she seems like she might be slightly better than you.
Fine, whatever. Yeah, I'm a terrible person, okay? Just help me out a bit here. What am I supposed to do now?
Don't know, don't care.
Come on, sis. Please, I'm begging you.
Beg all you want. I don't want anything to do with you anymore.
I can't believe you. Honestly, you're worse than Aunt Linda.
That's rich coming from you. Listen, Sam, I'm only going to say this one more time. I don't care. I'm not helping you. Don't ever talk to me again. Me and Mom have handed things off to Aunt Linda. She's your problem now. You two can sort this out amongst yourselves. Don't involve us.
But we don't have any money. Where are we supposed to go if she kicks us out?
Please read my previous messages because you're clearly not understanding the don't care part of what I just said.
Emma, please. You don't understand. Trevor's not been working at all since we moved. He hasn't even bothered to look for work, you see? Every time I ask him if he can look for work, he gets all sarcastic and stuff. We have no money to move out, even if we wanted to. If Linda kicks us out and you don't help us, we're gonna end up homeless. I'm still your sister, whether you like it or not. You have an obligation to help us.
If you or your trashy husband come anywhere near my family or my house, I'm going to call the cops on you, understand?
What? You wouldn't. On your own sister.
Sam, you two moved in there without Mom willingly agreeing. You kicked her out when you started arguing. And now that the consequences caught up with you, you want my help? Forget about it.
I'm sorry, okay? Please, Linda started throwing her stuff out. I'm begging. I've learned my lesson. I'll apologize to Mom. We'll get jobs. We'll earn our keep, I swear. We'll even pay for rent. Just let us stay at your place, please.
I'm not giving you a cent, even if you beg me. Don't come whining afterwards. Was that all you? Do you think I want to have someone like that living with me and Mom? Especially after what you did? Forget it, Sam. I won't help you, so stop begging me. I don't want your lazy, good-for-nothing husband here either. My husband and Mom both agree with me. We don't want you anywhere near us again. We don't consider you family anymore. Maybe Aunt Linda will let you and your husband do housekeeping and yard work or something. I'm sure she'll enjoy bossing you two around. After that, my sister and her husband had no other choice but to beg Aunt Linda to let them stay at her home. She reluctantly agreed, but in exchange for accommodation and food, they had to work for my aunt. Trevor couldn't take being treated like Aunt Linda's personal handyman and gardener, and ended up leaving, but only after it came out that he was cheating on Sam with the neighbor's 20-something-year-old daughter. Between being Aunt Linda's personal housemaid and sorting out the divorce with her husband, it seems Sam was really having a hard time with the consequences of what she did. That being said, me and my mom agreed that we won't give her any assistance whatsoever, no matter how miserable she gets or how many times she begs us to get her out of there. She has to learn from her mistakes and reflect on what she did to her own family. Meanwhile, my mom recently moved out of our place. She moved into a 2-bedroom apartment in a complex close to us, and she's agreed to let us pay for her rent for the time being. Although she's still grieving the loss of her husband, I think that she's a bit more relaxed since Aunt Linda moved her attention off of her onto my sister. I make an effort to see her every couple of days at her apartment now. We make dinner together and chat over a glass of wine while my husband looks over the kids for me. Occasionally, we'll all go out for dinner together with the kids. She's really enjoying bonding with them. With every memory we make together, I hope I can help her move on after losing her husband. One day, I hope she can look back and only remember the good times we had together and not be reminded about what a terrible thing my sister did to her.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to see more content.